Okay, so today we have a sweet, sweet cat tower behind us, and if we're lucky, maybe Maple will make an appearance. So, I don't know, we'll see. She likes to climb it, like the dragons in Harry Potter. Today, I wanted to talk about my journey to getting pregnant with endometriosis. If you're watching this and you've been diagnosed with endometriosis or PCOS, or you just feel like you might have something like that, I just want to tell you, like, you are not a statistic, you are not your diagnosis. And we have a God who's just so far above any of that. He is a miracle worker, and he can and he will do beautiful things in your life. And so, if this is you right now, like, I just don't want you to lose faith, because I know for me, for years, I just lived in so much fear and I would say like hopelessness, honestly. And yet the Lord was faithful. And so, if I can spare you any of that, I just want to. Okay, so I would say around 14 years old is when I realized that my periods were not normal. They were really heavy and they hurt really, really, really bad. So I had gone to a couple doctors from like 14 years old to 19 years old, and they were like, yeah, no, it's all normal. Here, just take this birth control and it'll be less painful. And I was like, okay, well, don't really want to do that. So I just kind of dealt with it, but I didn't really know what was going on, but I knew something wasn't right. For me, I didn't do birth control because I'm Catholic, but even more so, I just didn't like the idea of like putting a band-aid on it, but them not trying to figure out what was actually wrong. So I was like, okay, guys, like, we clearly know something isn't right here. So can we get to the root of the problem? So eventually, when I was 19, I did end up going to see a Catholic OBGYN. And that happened because I was woken up one time in the middle of the night by my cramps. And I remember like sitting in the bathroom and I was like shaking. I was breaking out in a cold sweat. I was super nauseous. And I was like, okay, absolutely not. Like, we're done. This isn't normal. We have to figure out what it is. So I went to a Catholic OBGYN. They're amazing, Morningstar and Gilbert, um, because they don't prescribe birth control. And so I knew that they would take like a more holistic approach and actually try to figure out what was going on. And praise the Lord, they did. They are amazing there. If you are in Arizona and you need treatment for this, go check them out. I will link them below. I cannot sing their praises enough. So I went there and I worked with some doctors, and they started doing like labs and stuff and looking at progesterone versus estrogen. And they were telling me, like, okay, so we can't actually officially diagnose endometriosis until we do surgery, because you can't see it on like an ultrasound or anything. But my doctor, he told me, he was like, I'm, 95+% sure that you have it. Would you like to do a surgery where we can go in, see if you have it, and if you do, we'll take it out? And I was like, yes, absolutely, please, let's do something. So we ended up doing that when I was, let's see, it was in 2019, so that would have put me at like 20, 21 years old. And we did that, and I did have endometriosis, spoiler alert. And he did the excision with a laser. So after that, I didn't really change anything in my lifestyle, and I just kind of kept going about my days, and my pain was significantly better. But over the next 2 years, I realized it was coming back, and that's what sucks about endometriosis. And I mean, like, everything about it sucks, but particularly, like, it grows back. So it's not really something that you can fully ever get rid of. So that's fun. And during this time too, I had a couple ovarian cysts that had burst. I genuinely thought I had appendicitis, and I went to the ER, and they're like, oh no, you just had this. And it's like, that's so fun, thank you. 2 years later, I got another surgery done. This was by a different doctor, and it was at the same OBGYN. And my first doctor was amazing. The second one, she just did a slightly different method. So what she did was she used a scalpel to do the excision, and using a scalpel, I guess, can kind of help it grow back slower and grow back less aggressively versus the laser. Not really sure how that works. Again, English major, but she was amazing. We did that in 2021, And after that, I really was like, okay, let's make some lifestyle changes. Like, I need to figure out what's going on. Because through all of these years, like, I just had so much fear that I wouldn't be able to have a family. Um, and that I wouldn't be able to have kids, or it would be really, really hard to have kids. And because of my faith, like, I knew I didn't want to do IVF. And I was open to adoption. I honestly, it's weird. After having a baby now, I'm more open to adoption than I ever was. But still, like, I wanted like my own biological children as well. Like, I think that's totally normal, and like that is a perfectly okay desire to have, and it doesn't make you a bad person for wanting that more than wanting to adopt. So if that's where your heart is at right now, I just want to assure you, like, that's okay. You're not a bad person, and it's totally fine. All that to say, I was like, okay, let's start making some lifestyle changes. So that was when I really started looking at endometriosis from a holistic perspective. They're finding that endometriosis is like a whole body situation, and it mainly stems from inflammation, which can have a couple different like factors that go into it. So around this time, I started doing things like looking more at what I was eating. Um, I was looking at the products I was using on my skin, but it wasn't until I got married in July of 2022 that I really made all of those changes. So that was when I slowly started transferring to non toxic products or less toxic products for makeup, um, like stuff to clean my house with, stuff I ate off of, things that I ate, and perfume. And unless you're like a millionaire, like, do not do this all at once. It's really expensive. And, you know, as a military family, we did not have the funds to completely switch everything all at once. And that's okay. So, like with makeup, I would switch one product when I ran out of it. And then with cleaning stuff, it actually turned out to be a little bit cheaper because the brand that I bought was like a cleaning solution. So, I honestly haven't bought that in like a year and a half, and I still have like half a bottle left. So anyways, all that to say, I started making lifestyle changes around that time, because, you know, we were married and we were like, okay, we really want to have kids. Like, this is something that we really, really want. Let's start tackling this. We got married July of 2022. In the spring of 2023, I had another ovarian cyst that burst. So I saw a doctor here in Oklahoma, and she was really great, but honestly, like, she did kind of scare me, because she was like, you know, you really need to preserve your fertility, and the more that this happens, which with each cycle that you have, the more that the endo is growing, in that there's more chance that you're going to have trouble conceiving. So we should get you on birth control. And out here, like, we live basically in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know, I just kind of felt trapped, and like I didn't have a lot of options. You know, I didn't have my Catholic OBGYN that I was seeing back in Arizona. And I was like, okay, like let's do it. Like, of course I want to preserve my fertility. So I was on hormonal birth control for about a month when my husband was like, okay, Peyton, you need to just invest in working with a dietitian who focuses specifically on endometriosis. And I was like, okay, I know you're right, so let's do it. And so grateful he did that. I love you so much, Cody. And so May of 2023, I found Cindy. She's amazing. I'm going to link her below. And she is a dietitian who works with endo patients. So I started working with her, and I kind of voiced to her how I was uncomfortable with hormonal birth control, just because not only the faith perspective, but again, like, just how it didn't really fix anything, and I didn't like how it made my body feel, and I didn't like that it stopped my body from doing what it was naturally supposed to do. And so she was like, you know, we can still preserve your fertility and help each cycle not progress the endo through diet and things like that. So I was like, okay, absolutely, let's do it. So I started working with her. She is incredibly knowledgeable, and no shade to my doctors, but I swear she was more knowledgeable about endometriosis than like most doctors that I've ever spoken to. She is so incredible. And so we started doing labs, hormone tests. We looked at things like my gut health, and I came off hormonal birth control, I would say end of May. And then July of 2023 was when I got pregnant. Such a miracle. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us with the miracle of our baby boy. We were practicing natural family planning, and we knew, we were like, okay, well, it's possible that I could get pregnant, but I'm probably not going to, because we know it'll probably take a while for me to. So it's fine. And if it happens, like, we're super happy. And if it doesn't, like, that's okay. Like, we kind of expect this. But we got pregnant, and um, Cindy is amazing because with the dietitian stuff that we're doing, a lot of it can't actually be done while you're pregnant because it focuses on hormone levels. And when you're pregnant, your hormone levels are all over the place. But she still worked with me until December 2023 just to help me have the healthiest pregnancy that I could. And I am eternally grateful for her. So yeah, I got pregnant and had a healthy pregnancy and delivered my sweet baby boy in March of 2024. So we are so grateful to the Lord for that. And also so grateful for all the things that we as a family were able to do to help me and me myself. It really reminds me of this quote from St. Ignatius, and he says, "Pray as if everything depends on God and work as if everything depends on you." And I think that really sums up this perfectly, because at the end of the day, it really is in the Lord's hands. But at the same time, like, God is not a genie. A lot of the way that he works is he provides you the opportunities to do something. Like, I was always told, if you pray for patience, God's not going to give you patience. He's going to give you the opportunity to be patient. And boy, is that true. And I would say the same thing for this. Like, absolutely pray hard, pray fervently that, like, the Lord will cure you, that the Lord will bless you with a family if that's what you desire. But also know that, like, there are things you can actively do to help yourself and to help your situation. And those are gifts from God. Like, he allows these doctors and these dietitians to be so knowledgeable about things. And so take advantage of that and use all these things to help you. I also want to say that I know that we did not do anything to deserve our baby. He is truly a gift, and no matter how much I did or didn't do, at the end of the day, he is not a direct result of my actions. And so I just want to say that I don't know why God blessed us with him. And I don't know why some people are not given that opportunity. And if that's you, I'm so sorry. And I really am actively praying for you. My heart goes out to you. I have so much love for you. But I also want to say that not only does God know what you want more than you do, he cares about what you want more than you do. And so don't be afraid to run to him, to give him these fears, and to give him your hopes and desires to have a family and to have children. And just know that, like, he cares so much. So to end this video, I want to go over some practical things that I did to help my endometriosis, because prayer is amazing and so powerful, and we have a God who works miracles, but we also have a God who gives us the opportunity to work on things ourselves, and for that, I'm so grateful. So here are a couple things. The first one was finding a good OBGYN. For me, this meant a Catholic OBGYN. It could realistically just be anyone who is holistic and who's not just gonna throw birth control at the problem, because while no shade to anyone who does that, because it is amazing for pain management, if you really are wanting to fix your endometriosis and find the root of the issue, you're going to need to work with someone who is not just going to put a band-aid on the issue. So for me, that was a huge first step. The second thing was working with a dietitian who specifically, she specifically works with endo patients. Cindy was incredible. She's not the only one though. There are many out there, and honestly the best place to find them is Instagram. Cindy is great because she can work with anyone around the world, so you're not tied to working with someone in a specific region, especially if you live in the middle of nowhere like I do. The third thing for me was transferring to products that were less toxic or non-toxic. Again, do this slowly because it is expensive if you try to do it all at once. A great website for me is EWG, which is Environmental Working Group. And so they have EWG, which they go over like cleaning products and stuff. And then they have EWG Skin Deep, which is all like makeup, lotion, hair care, stuff like that. And so you can search your products and see what they score. And then more importantly, you can look at their products that are EWG verified and see what is safest and less toxic for you to use. That has been totally a game changer for me to use. Another thing is that I really was focusing on diet, and for endometriosis, like it differs from person to person, but because it's an inflammation thing, for me, I found less sugar, and then also focusing on really high quality meat. So we invested in getting ButcherBox every month, because we live kind of in a food desert, and so even the organic stuff out here isn't that high quality. And I have heard from many people, if you can only invest in vegetables or meat being organic, invest in the meat. And that's us. Like, we don't have just an endless amount of money to spend, and so we decided to prioritize our meat, and that has helped me a lot. I have noticed a huge difference. The next thing is that I focused on also taking a high quality prenatal and fish oil. And I took the prenatal long before I got pregnant. And that was actually really nice because, like, you're pregnant, but for 2 weeks or more, like, you don't know that you're pregnant. And so it was a lot of peace of mind for me knowing that even in those weeks when I didn't know I was pregnant, our little baby was getting all these great nutrients that he needed. I took the prenatal called needed, and it was great. And then for fish oil, the brand I took was Omega Well, and that was really nice too because, again, it helps with inflammation. I would say another thing for me was sunlight and exercise. They're finding with some research that things like HIIT and running that are just more like intense on your body aren't always great for people with endometriosis because of the inflammation response. So I found that like cyclical workouts were really great for me. So that just like follows your menstrual cycle. But more specifically, like weightlifting has been amazing. It's still like a hard workout, but it didn't feel like it stressed my body out as much. And personally, I just love it. But at the end of the day, it like really just like exercise how it makes you feel good and what makes you happy. And if that's running, then absolutely do that. Because most importantly, exercise is just so good if you do have endometriosis. And again, not a scientist, so I don't understand why, but that's what I found. And like I said, sunlight too, just to help your body with its circadian rhythm and to just try to get things back on track. And I don't know, just in general, like, who doesn't feel good when they wake up and they like open the blinds and you're just like, ah, beautiful sunlight. So getting sunlight, fresh air, exercising was really helpful for me too. Next, drinking water. I know this is like the most basic thing, but it helped so much, especially because water just can really help your inflammation by helping to flush out the toxins in your body. So get yourself one of those big ol' embarrassing cups to use and use it because they are seriously incredible and I love it. Next was trying to have less plastic in my life. And so for us, it's not been a ton of stuff. I just use a stainless steel water bottle. Well, it's stainless steel on the inside. And then Tupperware. We have glass Tupperware. And when I microwave things, I try not to ever microwave in plastic. I try to only microwave in like ceramic or glass. And then also like utensils. I try to cook more with wooden ones, but I still use plastic ones. But again, like, I don't think it's an all or nothing approach. I think it's just more about finding ways to use less plastic where it's possible in your lifestyle. And no, that's not going to be perfect, and you're not going to be like completely plastic free because that's literally impossible in the world we live in. But where you can limit your exposure, just try to, and it really will help a lot. And lastly, is just surrounding myself with good community and people that uplifted me and spoke life over me and hope and encouragement, because having something like endometriosis can feel so hopeless and so lonely. But that is just not where God wants you to be, and that's not where He intended you to be. So if you can have even just one good friend or a parent or your husband or even your doctor who you're seeing who can speak that encouragement into your life, that goes so far mentally and will help you so much because it is not hopeless. There is so much like possibility for you to have a family. And like I said before, God is high and above any diagnosis and any statistic, and He is faithful and He is good, and He can and He will work miracles in your life. So I hope that this video was informative. I hope that it was helpful. More than anything, I hope that it was encouraging and that you walk away feeling uplifted and just knowing that you are loved and you're cared for and God is working your life and He's doing good things.